Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield as much time as he may consume to the gentleman from Washington, sponsor of the legislation, Representative Heck.
Gentleman from Washington is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just last week, we were home celebrating Thanksgiving, and we were giving thanks for everything we were blessed with, everything we cherished, and frankly, probably a lot of the things we take for granted. For those of us in the Pacific Northwest, we give thanks for the Puget Sound, we give thanks for our salmon, we give thanks for all the natural beauty that surrounds us. And we give thanks that Billy Frank Jr. was in our lives. As was indicated earlier, in addition to the many other awards he received in his lifetime, just last week the President conferred upon Billy Frank Jr. posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It is literally no exaggeration to suggest that what Martin Luther King meant to civil rights and Nelson Mandela meant to South Africa, Billy Frank Jr. meant to the entire Pacific Northwest, indeed to indigenous people throughout the globe. He is a fitting person for the prestigious honor that we hope to bestow upon him today, but we have an opportunity to do that, and I recommend we seize it. His legacy and the place he called home. Billy Frank Jr. was indeed the foremost advocate for restoration of Native American fishing treaty rights in the Pacific Northwest. He cherished clean water, healthy salmon runs, and he was a key voice in the recovery of the Puget Sound. He also, as has not been mentioned, proudly served our nation in the United States Marine Corps. He was an MP, I believe, during the Korean War. He got along with everyone. He was open and inclusive. His energy was literally infectious. We were deeply stunned in May of 2014 that he passed away. Even though at the age of 83, we thought Billy would live forever. He is gone, but his spirit is not. His story is not. His courage and belief in us is here. Because you see, Billy wandered the halls of Congress frequently, testified numerous times. He respected this institution, and he was a powerful voice within our chambers. And his story is in the Nisqually National Wildlife Refuge in the 10th Congressional District, which I have the privilege to represent, which we now protect to give our wildlife a clean and sustainable home. Billy grew up at a place called Frank's Landing, which is literally just a hop, skip, and a jump from the refuge. He fished in the Nisqually River, in and next to the area where the refuge is now. That is the location where he was arrested more than 50 times for advocating for his treaty fishing rights. This bill will rename that refuge after Billy Frank Jr., and also, as has been indicated, calls upon the establishment of a national memorial at the exact place which was the signing of the Medicine Creek Treaty in 1854. That was the first treaty in the state of Washington between Indian people and the newly established territorial government. In this case, it was between the people of the Nisqually, the Puyallup, Squaxin Island, and the Muckleshoots. Throughout his storied career, people often ask Billy, how is it that you do this? Get up every day and so effectively advocate on behalf of clean water, good fish runs. How do you do that, decade after decade? And he would always tell them the same thing. Tell your story. So when people go to the Billy Frank Jr. Nisqually National Wildlife Refuge, they'll be able to see why he held fish-ins. They'll see why he risked arrests. They'll see why he ultimately worked with others to help protect his home. Like many young people today, he fought for what he believed in, but later worked with lawmakers to build consensus. He started out as a civil rights protester, civilly disobedient, and an advocate, and he ended up being one of the great uniters in the history of the nation, and certainly the Pacific Northwest. So I hope that when people drive by the sign that directs them to the refuge, maybe they'll feel a little of that Billy magic too. Maybe they'll wonder, well, who was this Billy Frank Jr.? What did he do? For those of us who knew him, it will be a frequent reminder of this hero. They say you die twice. The first time, and the second time when they stop speaking about you. It is our goal that they never stop speaking about Billy Frank Jr. and the lessons he taught us all. The refuge will be a constant reminder. I knew Billy for almost 40 years. I loved him like a beloved uncle. In fact, I called him Uncle Billy, but you know what? I was absolutely not special in that regard. Hundreds, if not thousands, of people did the same thing. Indeed, at his memorial service, the official estimate of the number in attendance was 10,000. That's how beloved this man was. I'd like to thank the members of the House Natural Resources Committee who unanimously approved this bill, all the members of the House delegation from Washington State. I would also like to especially recognize Chairman Bishop and the ranking member, Grijalva, and the hardworking committee staff, both for the majority and the minority, for their help on this legislation. In conclusion, Billy once famously said, "I don't believe in magic. I believe in the sun and the star, the water, the tides, the floods, the owls, the hawks flying, the river running, the wind talking. They're measurements," he said. "They tell us how healthy things are, how healthy we are, because we and they are the same." Let's remind visitors that we and they are the same at the Billy Frank Jr. Nisqually Wildlife Refuge. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Washington yields back.